Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready.
Oh, you're singing on the live. 'Cause you can't stop the school of rock. I'm okay. Well, first off, hi
You're
everyone.
wearing.
I'm wearing clothes. This is Still Comfy Monday. It's Movie Monday
Movie
with
Monday.
Movie Monday. I'm Natalie Katona, your host of To All the Men I've Tolerated Before, which is a weekly look at everyday misogyny, and this is my co-host.
Hi, friends. I'm Julia Washington, the host of Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous, where we analyze pop culture through the lens of race or gender, and sometimes both.
And just a little reminder, if you're going to join in on the audience, we can't see your name, but we can tell that people are in the room. So leave us a lovely little comment. And if you're watching a replay, tell me all of the things you want to tell me about Jack Black in the comments, because I love Jack Black. Jack
He's
Black's
adorable.
yeah, I have completely forgiven him for Shallow Hal. And now I'm like, he has never done anything wrong in my entire life.
Can I just be honest? I forgot about Shallow Hal.
I thought it was Jason Alexander and Shallow Hal, and it's both of them.
Jason Alexander. He's got an interesting
vibe.
catalog of work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about Shallow Hal, because that one definitely makes us uncomfy and also makes Gwyneth Paltrow uncomfy. We are talking about the School of Rock.
School of Rock.
Did you know I would have a School of Rock t-shirt?
I just assumed you saw the musical.
I did.
Yeah.
I've seen the musical. This was a free t-shirt from work.
Oh, that makes sense. That tracks. Okay, tell me how many times you've seen the musical.
I've seen the musical twice. I tried to buy my sister tickets for her birthday, and she ended up with the stomach flu, so I went with a friend.
That's such a bummer.
In Cincinnati, and then School of Rock was the first Broadway musical that I worked.
I love that.
Yep, my first camp with kids. I got to meet the kids in the cast. They loved me.
That's adorable. You know what? I told you that what's it called? Anastasia came, but I didn't know until like the day of when my friend was at the theater. Your theater does a better job at making sure people know what's going on. Our theater's like, we're in the top 100, but we aren't going to tell you what we're doing.
Oh, I also just stalk all of our theaters.
I follow them on everything.
Yeah. No, I literally go to the websites and I'm like, what if I miss something?
Oh, I'm so I
also have people at the theater who still text me, this is going to be something you like.
You have the in. I need to listen. I stopped making friends because I hate it here.
And there it is, everybody.
That's my problem. That is my problem. I understand.
But yeah, I loved the School of Rock musical. We're going to talk about one of the numbers when we get to this point on our list. But I loved the musical. Shout out to those kids. If you remember Miss Natalie and how they had just gotten out of like theater school, like they have to do so much road school on the road.
Oh.
So I had to go and collect them because they were going to do a Q&A with my campers. And I go backstage. It's my first time collecting anyone backstage. And these little babies, these little Broadway babies just come and like I'm wearing this shirt, but I'm also wearing a tutu because I'm also throwing a cocktail hour while working camp.
Yeah.
So
that makes
they
sense.
Just like, you know, in like the Kanan eye, when they all just like become enamored with her skirt and they're all just holding on to it. That's what I got. Broadway babies.
You're wearing
Who are you? What's your name? Are you taking us somewhere? You seem so nice. You look so nice.
Well, you're wearing a tutu. I would have walked up to you and have been like, hello, can I see your tutu?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be sexual. It'd just be like, there's a tutu. I need to look at your tutu.
I mean, it was just like a really big tulle skirt from Target. It still gets a lot of play from my closet. It is one of my backup era's outfits. If I hate everything that I purchased.
Well, I mean, what if it rains?
Yeah. I texted a friend that I was watching School of Rock yesterday, and she very much, and I'm putting a lot of emotion. I'm projecting a lot of emotion onto this, but she was like, I just hope it still holds up. And I was like, truly, besides Shallow Hal, I do not believe that a lot of Jack Black's movies are in fact misogynistic by nature.
Yeah, like I was reading some of the trivia because it's like Jack Black and Joan Cusack have done other movies, and the only one that came up was High Fidelity, and the premise of High Fidelity not great. Like the
I
John
forgot he
Cusack,
was in High Fidelity.
yeah, but but I love that he was in High Fidelity because he plays the music obsessed shop guy,
Yeah.
which works for, like, he clearly has a niche that he should lean into. But that movie does get a little high fidelity, which is why I'm
Yeah.
grateful for the reboot with Zoe Kravitz, because they do a good job with that. I mean, and probably the book is a little, I haven't read the book in a while, but
Who do I call to get a season 2 of High Fidelity with Zoe Kravitz?
I don't know. Hulu, because they did it. That movie with that series was so
It was so
freaking good.
And what a gift to have Zoe Kravitz do a scripted series.
I know. And she was so, and it's almost like a full circle moment because her dad is so much part of the lexicon when it comes to music. Don't you think?
Yeah.
And is it? Oh no, I was thinking of Maya Rudolph. Her mom's Minnie Riperton. I was like, and his mom, but is it his mom? Was it his mom a singer?
I think so. I don't know.
I just love it when, there's these moments where like kids can do something that they're like, be an appreciator of something that their parents were a part of. Like, it would be like, I don't know, Frances Bean and Dave Grohl's kids starting a band or something. I don't know.
100%. I was very distracted for a moment while you were talking because you don't have a lag, but it was like I was in quicksand over on my end while I was watching myself. It has ceased.
Oh, good.
But I kept playing with it to be like, am I caught up in the universe?
Maybe.
All right. Let's look at my notes. Let's see if I even have points.
Yeah, I do. I also, like your friend, was a little nervous about whether or not this film would hold up. I used to try and get my son to watch it with me all the time, and he was like, absolutely not, because they used to play it all the time in aftercare in for the school that he went to as like their Friday afternoon thing, because Fridays were half days. And then I was like online and I was like, this movie's rated PG-13. I'm surprised. One, I'm surprised it's rated PG-13. I literally have no idea why. And then two, I was surprised that the school would be like, sure, we'll show a PG-13 movie, because even though they were a public charter school, they still sometimes had the essence of religious chokehold.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I just put my notes away. I'm done here.
Natalie. Oh, shortest show we've ever done. Thank you and good night.
My first point, and maybe my only point, is I am an absolute Jack Black stan.
Oh, he's adorable. I was worried he was going to be irritating because, it's been a couple years. We're a little bit older now. And I love it.
No, he's adorable.
He's adorable.
He's adorable. He's adorable. I loved Tenacious D when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up in the Jack Black era where there was like multiple Jack Black movies a year.
Yeah. Yeah. But every time he would start to do like the doodaloo, screw-doo kind of stuff, I kept going back to The Holiday when he was like, doodaloo, screw-doo. I was like, all right. My favorite Jack Black is The Holiday Jack Black.
Mine is Nacho Libre.
Oh, Nacho Libre is a good film.
In fact, during quarantine, I told someone that I was spending time with, we were like pod buddies or whatever. I was like, the only thing that is going to make me feel like the pandemic will be over and I can feel joy again is if we watch Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
And he had never seen Nacho Libre before. And I was like, find it streaming somewhere. I think I made him pay for it.
Well, yeah. Well, because, as we've learned from Jury Duty. Oh, no, if he had bought it. Did you watch Jury Duty?
I didn't. No. I know it's
Natalie!
I know it's a phenomenon. What's it on? Freebie?
Prime. Oh, yeah, Freebie, but you can get it through Prime.
Oh, you can? Here's the thing. Yeah. I knew it was on like one of those like shady, I And I was like, are we supposed to be watching this? Is this a legitimate streaming service? I don't know. This
Yeah,
is usually what I pirate movies off of for Still
yeah,
Comfy.
yeah. I got it through. It's freebie, but I got it through Prime, and it's so good.
I know, it's a phenomenon. I do love that James Marsden.
He is so gosh darn cute.
He's
He's just
always
so
so
gosh darn
cute.
cute.
I like to believe that he's his character in Enchanted and Enchanted 2, always.
Yes,
That's who
yes.
he is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but I am a Jack Black stan. I've always been a Jack Black stan. My mom and my sister are Jack Black stans. My dad made the mistake of telling us, I believe during Nacho Libre,
Uh-oh.
that he does not appreciate Jack Black at all. And
Out.
when I
Get out, Joe.
I was heartbroken,
Sorry.
just threw my father's name out there.
I'm so sorry.
He's going to be so upset that this is how he gets doxxed for hating Jack Black.
Fuck.
This was probably also 20 years ago, so maybe he's changed his mind. I don't know. But
we need to come up with fake names for our parents.
Apparently.
Because when we talk in the DMs, it's just such a natural thing to.
But
this is gonna haunt me, Natalie. I'm so sorry. Keep going.
We should have done Nacho Libre because I guess I'm just only going to talk about Nacho Libre. But we bought Nacho Libre on DVD, and the DVD came with stretchy pants.
I love that. I did not know that.
We put the stretchy pants on our dog's, like she had this like cow toy, and it was like a really hard stuffed animal, and we were like, we gotta put the stretchy pants on the cow, and she hated the stretchy pants. And she'd whip that thing back and forth until and we would just find the stretchy pants somewhere. And we'd be like, no, Lily, your cow needs stretchy pants. And she's like, I hate the stretchy pants. So my dad and the dog on the same page about Jack Black. But I find him, okay, I will admit this on the internet, even though I've been told to stop admitting things on the internet.
Who told you that?
Maybe you, maybe other friends. Maybe people were like, maybe not lean so hard into, I'm just going to learn all of the herbs that can also be poison.
You know what? When Mercury is not in retrograde, I'm a completely different person. I'm sane, I'm balanced, and it's going to be an interesting week. Go ahead.
Every day I'm a new human, but I love Tropic Thunder. I love Tropic Thunder.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. So do I.
Honestly, the surprise Matthew McConaughey and Tom Cruise cameos in Tropic Thunder go down. I hate Tom Cruise. We know this.
We know this.
Now I got to pause for Scientology. But anyways, those cameos, I think, go down in some of the best placed cinematic cameos that I can ever think of.
Yeah.
Just like the utmost surprise.
We should cover Tropic Thunder.
Okay. You know, there are movies that I know we loved in the early 2000s that I'm deathly afraid to actually talk about on the internet, because there's no way I'm getting through an hour without going, Tropic Thunder and Drop Dead Gorgeous are satire, and if you just don't get it, it's because you don't read good. I don't know. And I'll just make fun of our audience.
Well, I mean, not to disagree. It's like with Bridget Jones. In the book, her weight thing is satire.
Uh-huh. Not in the movie.
Not in the movie. And it's like, how did you not understand when you were translating the script? What?
The only piece of misogyny.
We should do a coverage of, these are the things that are satire that you all missed. Is that patronizing?
Let's just start a whole new podcast where we're like, these movies are still good, and here's why. If you were smart, you understood satire, and here's why.
This is why I'm not more successful in life, because we're on the internet calling everyone idiots.
Maybe. The only bit of misogyny, and I will have to say that during this period of my youth where I was loving Jack Black, I had irrational. Me, who? I had an irrational, furious hatred for Sarah Silverman, which I have currently a couple of years ago, I realized that that was actually the misogyny and the patriarchy at large making me hate female comedians.
That's interesting because I feel like in this film, she's intentionally designed to be a character you hate,
Mhm.
but you also hated her as a
I
person.
hated her comedy. I was like, why do they keep putting her in movies? She's not like here I am all of 15 years old being like, why does this lady have a career? I
Well, you
hated
are
the
the
Sarah.
authority.
I am the utmost authority.
Mhm.
I hated her show. I hated the Sarah Silverman show.
Wow, interesting.
I need to like really go back and rewatch that and be like, "Oh, I grew up in an era where female comedians had to be this,
Mhm.
and therefore I hated them."
Because when we were covering Pam Anderson for book club, I watched her roast, and Sarah
Mhm.
Silverman is in it.
Yeah.
And I didn't like, well, I just don't think the roasts when you watch them 10 years later are funny. They're
No.
not. Um, but it kind of reminds me when you were talking, it kind of reminds me of the fact that like you say, they were kind of put in this sort of chokehold of you have to be this kind of funny. Um, what I like about Sarah Silverman now is how she's like, hey, like who did she apologize to recently? Was it Paris Hilton?
Maybe.
But like she's like, hey, I did shitty things too. And I think that's because we were all shoved into this corner being told this is how we have to talk about women. This is how you have to view women. This is how you have to view yourself. And
Yeah.
regardless if you want an entertainment career, but just like in general, right? Like this is how we have to behave. Good
When
luck.
when I talk to older women in my life and I bring up any female comedian from the early 2000s that I admire, Whitney,
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea,
Yeah.
any of them. It doesn't matter whose name I say, I get the same criticism. So you just want to listen to some chick talk about her vagina and her tits for an hour and and then I have to get on my comedy high horse. And I was like, in the 90s and the early 2000s, that is the only way women would get on the bill is to
Right.
flash their tits
Right.
and talk about their titties.
You've read Whitney Cummings' book, right? We've
Uh,
talked about
yeah,
this. Yeah,
I listened to it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think my Whitney is going through a lot of things, so I'm just gonna move on.
Okay.
But yeah, so Sarah Silverman being this like very constructed shrew of a girlfriend who eventually calls the cops. That's when I was like, you know, when the shrew girlfriend is literally just the voice of reason, like, hey, your friend freeloads off of you. Wouldn't it be nice to split this rent or to allow me to move in so we could split this rent?
Mhm. Mhm.
And like get a job or whatever. I was like, okay, usually that's what the shrew girlfriend is. She's just like the voice of reason. She's just like the person who's like literally like, but this is how the world works.
Right, right.
But then at the end, she calls the fucking cops on him. And I was like, we don't have to involve the police. We don't have to involve the police.
Yeah, I had this moment of at the end I had this moment of reflection where it was like, is this movie just kind of telling us like, hey, don't grow up.
Yeah.
Don't grow up. Responsibility stupid. Rock out with your cock out whenever you can.
It is a very anti-establishment movie, but
Which isn't the same thing as what I'm saying.
yeah, but it still landed for me, and I think the
Yeah.
reason it still lands for me is because he does a really great, kind of unintentional way of connecting to those kids.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and then he turns it into this whole like, hey, I mean, obviously we create this like after school program for kids to be musicians. Um, which I do love. But again, this is me being an asshole. I was like, that's only accessible for rich kids.
Mm,
But they're at a rich kid's school essentially
yeah.
too.
I mean, maybe they have a scholarship program, we don't know. We don't
I
know how
should
those little kids got in.
That's true. That's true.
We don't
Fair,
know.
fair. I did find myself going, I have to suspend my disbelief because after reading Jeanette McCurdy's memoir and her buddy from iCarly is in this movie. It's her
Yeah.
first movie
Little baby
debut.
Miranda
I know.
Cosgrove.
I was like, look at how tiny she is. I forgot. Like, if you for anyway, I had to step out of that whole using kids for in entertainment is icky and feels gross and just enjoy the film. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And again, I'm not going to sit here and argue that like using kids in entertainment isn't gross and gross things happen, but like School of Rock, I think. So in the musical, I guess I'll bring up the musical number now.
Okay.
So there are these little moments in the movie where Jack Black gets to actually witness some of these kids with their parents.
Yeah.
It happens the most with the lead guitarist and his kind of like no nonsense dad who's kind of
Yeah.
an ass and is
Yeah.
kind of yelling at him in the parking lot and is like, we only care about homework. We don't care about your guitar.
Why do you want to listen to rock and roll?
Right. He is the establishment.
He is. Mm-hmm.
And so Jack Black makes like a point to connect with that kid. And it becomes very apparent, at least as an adult watching this watch through, that this kid really hasn't been given a chance to actually know who he is as a 12-year-old.
Right.
Which is not a unheard of concept with our 12-year-olds of the world.
Yeah, especially when you come from sort of super driven, high ambitious parents, which a lot of these prep school kids do. So you're kind of forced into becoming, fast tracking doctor, lawyer, those are the only two things I can think of that like burn you out.
Yeah, there were 3 jobs when I was growing up. Nurse,
Oh,
teacher.
Yeah.
But in the musical, there's this beautiful number that the kids do while their parents are just kind of like pantomiming everyday life. And it's called If Only You Would Listen. And it's all about these truths that I'm going to cry talking about, but it's all about these truths that these kids feel about themselves. And sure, some of it is around rock and roll or whatever, because like it's to hit home that these parents don't understand why all of a sudden their kids want to be rock stars.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about how these kids at 12 years old just understand that like if you would stop telling me and you would listen, you would understand why I'm a rock star now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's so beautiful. And watching Jack Black walk through that scene with that kid, just being like, well, what pisses you off? And he's like, I don't know what pisses me off. And he's like, come on, what pisses you off? Like,
yeah.
Just, it's like, that's what teaching. So I watched it yesterday as a former teacher, and I was like, no, everything he's doing is fine except for like the signed field trip thing.
Yeah, the field trip thing was like, oh God, you're gonna get in trouble, like in the worst way. Like they're gonna ban you from children.
Yeah. I was like, you're kidnapping, it's fine.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing you did wrong. Because I was like, that's how you're supposed to like connect with kids. You're supposed to take your ego out of it and actually talk to them like they're humans.
Yeah.
But how often is that the case?
It's rarely the case. What I loved about so when we're watching this and he's like talking to the kids, one of the things I read, because I was like, I feel like that child is truly playing the guitar. Those look like real chords. Like that's not I'm pretending. And then when I looked in the trivia on IMDb, the director had said, I will only direct if the kids actually know how to play the instruments. So that was really cool to see. But I love that how towards the end of the film, the parents were like, oh shit, our kids are good. Like, this is impressive. And I love that they did come. I mean, obviously they're going to come around Hollywood magic. They have to. But how often in real life do parents not actually come around?
Right. And that's why I still hold that it's like an anti-establishment movie, but in like all of the best ways. Because it wasn't that Dewey just assumed that he didn't ever have to make money.
Right.
He was just like, well, why can't I make money on my terms doing what I want? And why can't I wait for that?
Right, which I love. And you and I have this conversation all the time. Actually, all of my friends who are creatives and I have this conversation all the time. I mean, it's right. It's like what the writer strike going on is about, right? Where it's like we should be able to have a sustainable living on art. Y'all lean into it anyway. Like, how many, like, who didn't lean into consuming art in some way during the pandemic? No one. Everybody did. But then you want to devalue it when we're asking to be able to pay more than just rent.
Yeah. We want to have the rent money, but also grocery money.
Yeah. And then this false comparative of like, well, teachers only make X and, you know, blow. It's like, it's not the same job. It doesn't matter. Teachers' funds do not come from, you know, me streaming Paramount Plus, right? Like, it's one of those things where it's like you're comparing two different things.
Correct.
You need to, it's not, a job isn't a job, guys. Like, you need to figure out something else to be mad about. Stop blaming the writers for teachers not getting paid enough.
Well, and isn't that thing too? It's scapegoating because it's like, well, if the writer, what's up, Mario? I was just wondering if Mario was going to come. Mario, put in the chat what your favorite Jack Black movie is because I want to know.
Because I want to know.
I love Jack Black. So when it comes to the writer's strike, and people will be like, well, what about the teachers? The teachers also have a union. They also use their collective power to strike. They also,
I don't know about in Ohio, but in California, every time I listen to what the union is doing, I'm like, do y'all not care about your union members? Like,
yeah,
what?
I still have teachers in my life and whatever. And I don't know if it's charter schools. I don't know if it's the rise of like, you can get vouchers to go to private schools. I don't know what it is, but School of Rock, that's what we're covering, Mario. And I do love that Panda movie.
I haven't seen the new Jumanji reboot, but I heard amazing things about
you
it.
have to see the Jumanji reboot.
Listen, I'm a diehard Robin Williams.
Aren't we all? Don't make me cry about Robin Williams. We haven't done Hook yet for a reason.
I know. I did watch it last weekend because I went and saw the Peter Pan ballet, and I thought, you know, it would be a really good weekend cap, Hook.
Did you cry?
Of course.
I can't look at him without crying and thinking about Coco the gorilla, who has also passed.
I know.
All my friends be dead. So all my friends be dead. But anyways, the writer strike and the teachers and the teacher unions. It just feels like teacher unions are in bed with the government.
Yeah, it actually feels like that with a lot of other unions because, as you know, I used to work in public safety. And sometimes when negotiations would come up and the things that they were bargaining for, I was like, that's not a benefit. You're negotiating away your right to have vacation days or something to that effect. And it was just like, there is an excessive abuse happening right now. And what I love about watching what's going on with the WGA is that the WGA isn't doing that.
No.
The WGA is like, our people need to be paid, shit or get off the pot.
Do you know how like you would have that school nurse who was like, my job is to keep you in school, and you'd go with like a 200-degree fever and like chills?
Right.
And she'd be like, you could probably go back to class after an hour, take a nap. I feel like the unions have adopted that mindset where it's like, our job is to keep you at work, so we'll just make stipulations.
Some of them, yeah.
And take crumbs.
Yeah, like I said, the teachers union, some of the stuff, when I listen to what has been negotiated away for my teacher friends, I'm just like, I don't understand who in negotiating power on your side would ever do such a thing.
But my original point was, if the if the writers can strike, and no, I made 15 points in between my original point. I took us on a roller coaster, and I was like, anti-establishment. I am Jack Black.
School of Rock.
The rent is way past due. There's a Venmo in our link tree.
Yeah.
But if the writers can strike and therefore make more money, if we can get legislation to pass to make the minimum wage $17, I heard you, Bernie. I saw your post. My friend Bernie. Then everyone living value. What am I trying to say?
We can all achieve a livable wage regardless of our career.
Yeah, we can get a livable wage, but also our standard of living raises. And that's across the board, because then teachers can go, the writers striked and they got more money. Where's our money?
Yeah.
The government's just printing money anyways. They paid for the coronation.
I know.
Like the catering or something.
Oh shit, you said something that made me think of something and now it's gone. Oh, the Wall Street Journal, surprisingly, because they are historically leaning to, a little bit more conservative, even recently did an article about how, hey man, a $15 a job minimum pay is actually great for the economy. The Wall Street Journal.
The man.
I was like, we are definitely in a timeline that makes no fucking sense if the Wall Street Journal is advocating for a $15 minimum wage.
Nothing makes sense here. It's nonsensical. So what I ended up feeling about School of Rock is I haven't seen movies like this for kids in a while.
Yeah.
Where kids aren't just like bucking the system and being like, fuck you, mom and dad. They're actually being taught how to create discourse in a really good way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, and to go back to our conversation to the point about like, I had to remove my icky feeling because of the Jeanette McCurdy book. It feels like this is a set where kids were allowed to thrive and to just be kids and to do the acting. And it didn't feel like, anybody, like, I haven't heard, I mean, one of the actors did later come out and say that they were, over sexualized, but it wasn't by anybody on staff. It was by fans and people doing like a countdown, waiting for them to turn 18, blah, 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 all that shit. Right. And so like kind of had a drug and alcohol problem, but that wasn't a result of filming. That was a result of fans being like gross to them.
Oh, it was a direct result of our everyday misogyny that perverts would go on the internet and be like, it's T minus 5 years, 22 days, and 13 hours until Miranda Cosgrove is 18.
Yeah. Yes. And Mario, I do want to say, I also was like, I forgot what Mike White looked like pre-White Lotus. Because he's such a little dorky guy.
I need to have a conversation with Mike White, because Mike White was in School of Rock and like
he wrote it.
And he wrote School of Rock. But also he's on Survivor, and then also he creates the White Lotus. Like, I just want to have coffee.
He was on the Survivor reality show?
Survivor.
Was he in the first season?
I don't know.
Did Mike White get his start from being on Survivor?
What if it's not Mike White? What if it's someone else involved with White Lotus?
I don't know.
I know that one of them is from Survivor.
Because if we could figure out how to parlay a writing, okay,
here's Mike White on Survivor.
Natalie, we need to start applying to all these reality shows so we can get jobs in Hollywood. Apparently,
he was in the David versus Goliath season where they took pasty, skinny Mike White and then put him up against like your everyday Jason Momoa's.
Oh my God. Mike White is so adorable.
I just want to have coffee with Mike White to be like, tell me your story, sir. Like, tell me how we got here.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Because he's pretty, like, he's written a lot of stuff that's done well, no? I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The White Lotus. I love the White Lotus.
Besides the White Lotus.
Here comes a White Lotus spoiler. Are we all ready?
Yeah.
May you rest in peace, Tanya.
Oh, I feel like that's common knowledge.
Whatever. People will get pissed.
I know. It's true.
So I would also go on record to say that Jack Black was actually a really good accidental teacher.
Yeah, he wrote 3 episodes of Freaks and Geeks. He wrote Orange County. I thought so. He wrote 9 episodes of Dawson's Creek. He wrote Dead Man on Campus. I haven't seen Dead Man on Campus in a long time. I should probably watch it before I get excited.
Someone convinced Mike White to have coffee with me. I just want to figure out how he did all of these things and then ended up on Survivor. That's all I want. Like,
what year was he on Survivor?
I don't know. I
Okay,
looked it
sorry,
up,
go
but it
ahead.
didn't give me a year right away. And I was like, my ADHD was like, we've confirmed he's on Survivor.
I don't Why doesn't it give me a year?
I don't know. I said the season.
I'm just like, I just want a year. IMDb, stop asking me to buy it. I'm not paying for Pro. You're owned by Amazon. Calm down. Okay, sorry. We keep The Amazing Race.
He was on The Amazing Race too. My God, I just want to have one coffee with Mike White. So if
Oh,
someone,
he was on Survivor in 2018.
yeah.
So that's like, dang.
Oh, did he win? I think he I don't know.
I don't know. This isn't a conversation about Mike White. Go ahead.
Oh, he was the runner up. Okay, he almost won.
Mm.
I just want to have one coffee with Mike White to be like, tell me how all of this happened, and then you were also on Survivor and The Amazing Race. It really the psychology of the people who choose to do The Amazing Race and Survivor. I just always I was like, what makes you wake up and think that yes, you are the survivor?
I couldn't do it.
Or
When
no.
it first came out, we watched a little bit of season 1 way back
Mhm.
when, and I was like, absolutely not.
Here's the thing about Survivor. I watched 5 seasons, the first 5 seasons during
Uh-huh.
lockdown, and then some random episode, I was like, "These are all the same fucking challenges and puzzles, just
Yeah.
literally recycled." And then it's like, yeah, that's how people win. That's not how people are supposed to win, by studying up the puzzles.
But if the formula works, why change it?
I don't know, road rules always had new challenges, okay?
Yeah, okay. All
I
right.
grew up in real world road rules, okay? And
Yeah,
they always
yeah.
had new
The
challenges.
All-Star challenges too.
I'll write for Survivor if they need someone to come up with challenges.
I'm sure Road Rules is still on, but I miss the Road Rules of the 90s.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Real Rules is still on, but I bet you we could stream it.
I'm sure we could. Okay.
So this is why
Yes.
Jack Black was an accidental good teacher. Number one, he walks over to where they track the children's behavior and grades and he rips it off. And I was like, we still do that today. We literally shame kids just with
Yeah.
posters in our rooms.
Yep.
And we're told to by administration. It's like, it's motivating. There's nothing less motivating than knowing that you're the only kid that doesn't have the fucking math fact cherry on the sundae.
And it fosters bullying in a way too,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, Julia doesn't know how to do math. She's gonna have to stay back a grade.
Then you gotta tell everybody I'm too pretty to know math. And then and then people are like, you're the snooty girl. What?
It is the thing I said to people. I don't need to know math. I'm gonna have an accountant.
I don't need to know math. Fucking
Joke's
pretty.
on me, I don't have an accountant yet.
I don't need math. I got a calculator in my fucking phone. So I guess I showed you, didn't I?
Showed you
I got a computer in my hand all fucking day long.
all day.
And so I just want everyone to know that we still track kids publicly on posters and we're told that it's good for their mental health and it's not.
It's not. And I really like how when he's talking to Summer and she's like, I need, you could see it in her face, like, I need gold stars to survive, because there's always that one student who needs that hyper validation. It is not worth it at the expense of the kids who are neurodivergent in class.
Right. There's a way to give the hyper kid more compliments. Just pat them on the back as you walk by.
Yeah.
And then Jack Black. So I think the beautiful thing about the band project is he literally learns those kids' strengths and then leans on their strengths.
Yes.
So he's like, Summer needs validation and to also be in control. So you are band manager.
I love how she's like, how dare you assign me to be a groupie? I Googled it. No, and she's just so indignant about it at first. I was like, yes, call this grown man out for assigning groupies.
And then she slut shames groupies.
I know.
But So here's the thing about the School of Rock Band project. It's very much a type of curriculum in school. We call it project-based learning, where none of the kids are actually working on the same thing, but they're working towards a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, those kids had to learn math and apparently how to hack tech. So
I know. I love how they're like watching for the principal through this computer system. I was like, genius. That's
some of them were
brilliant.
sewing. Some of them, like, I was like, how'd that kid make that logo without Canva?
Yeah.
These kids are learning how to code. You can't tell me that the School of Rock project was a waste of anyone's time.
It absolutely was not a waste of anyone's time.
And those kids were happy.
They were very
And they were
happy.
engaged.
Yes. And so freaking talented. It's
Yes.
ridiculous. I was like, I can't believe how, I mean, I can, but at the same time, I'm like, I can't believe how like good these kids are on these instruments. But then again, too, like I was reading the trivia and there's significant age gaps between the cast because they have people as young as Summer, who was born in 1993, and then some of the kids were like, one of the kids was 15 by the time the movie released, you know, so
Yeah.
and I think Summer was 10 by the time the movie released. So there's a variety of ages in these children, but at the same time, they're all still really good. Like, it's still impressive when a 15-year-old can like rip on a guitar or sing really
Yeah.
well
Yes. We
or
love
play
it
the drums. Yeah.
when children can rock. Also, like, I think I am Jack Black now in the School of Rock movie, where I'm constantly just like standing in corners of Starbucks being like, has anyone told you children about the evils of the capitalistic greed? None of us should have jobs. We should all have.
I mean, I had the realization this weekend that I would like to live the life my dog lives, which is napping, laying in the sun, and then as a human, read all day.
Yeah.
I just want to be adored. That is the career
Honestly.
I would like.
Honestly. So if anyone could figure out how that happens.
And they can get all my bills paid. I do want to say the music still is really good
Oh, it's
because
still really good.
yeah, and I was a little worried because the 2000s were kind of an interesting time for music because we had like such an influx of like auto generated
Mhm.
that was hard to
Mhm.
listen to. But of course it's going to hold up because Jack Black is a musician himself. So of course like the songs that they're writing and the music that they're making for this film are going to be like incredible pieces of work, cuz afterwards I was like, man, I should pop on the School of Rock soundtrack. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. You should listen to the musical soundtrack because it's also like really well done.
Okay, I'll add it to my queue.
Like Shrek the musical, I will literally go down in a pillar of fire to convince people that the School of Rock musical is good.
I believe you. I have no reason to doubt your taste in musical theater.
It's so good. I can enjoy both the Color Purple and the Shrek musical.
You have a wide and varied, that's the same thing. You have an eclectic taste.
I'm a very multifaceted human.
Yes.
Were you prepared to see my nasty hand from Penelope?
Friggin' Penelope.
Am I traumatizing you?
No,
Hey,
it's okay.
we're 45 minutes late on her meds because we be like that sometimes. So if she leaps,
Natalie, I can't help you from all the way over here.
she's snoring. I can hear
Okay.
her.
Okay, good.
She's
Okay,
snoring.
good.
She's
I
real susceptible to these meds, these anti-anxiety meds. So I'm pretty sure they linger in her
Oh,
system.
that's not a bad thing, I would think.
Uh, no.
I also was reading in the trivia that they had originally wanted to have Jack Black's character and Joan Cusack's character like fall in love.
No, that's literally one of my pros of the movie.
I was gonna say, I'm so glad that didn't make it in.
Because they become like friends. Like
Yes.
she gets to appreciate him at some point.
Yeah.
But there was like, I know he takes her out to that drink and then he's like, what if we all love Stevie Nicks? Shout out to Stevie Nicks, who I'll be seeing this summer in Kentucky. I'm coming, Stevie. Um, I haven't bought that ticket yet, but let me just go ahead and make an announcement.
You're committed now. We expect it now.
But anyways, he does take her out for drinks, and then he, mystifies her with the 17 of Stevie Nicks, but he doesn't manipulate her.
No.
Like, I get that he's lying throughout the whole movie, but you can't tell me he's a liar. Like, I get that he's making these kids plot and lie to their parents, but you can't convince me that it's bad.
Well, I think it's back to your point of the collective project being for the positive.
Yeah. I just think you know what? I think he did everything right. I don't even know if I would be mad if my kid happened upon this class.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm so glad. Because, they almost go there and it's not very developed. So there must have been a lot that they cut out, but there was still like lingering moments.
Yeah, and I think that sort of like I like that the other part of the reason why I like that they didn't is because we so often have these films and enemies to lovers is my favorite trope.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't always need to exist. It can be enemies to friends. Like that is true too.
Yeah, what just happened to respecting people?
Yeah, and we don't really see enough of that. There always has to be a love story in something, and I disagree. As a person who spends far too much time reading contemporary romance novels and romantic comedy movies, even when they're terrible, I'm going to argue we don't always need to have a love story in a movie.
Mm-mm. In fact, I'd prefer if we didn't. I don't want to watch men and ladies kiss.
And I just feel like it would have ruined the essence of what Dewey was doing.
Also, I don't hate her character. Like the principal character, I know that she's also supposed to be the establishment.
Like the bad guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I'm like, this woman's just trying to do her job. She's getting a lot of pressure from parents and governors and education, legislation, and all of it.
And she's new to the job, so she's still trying to figure out her shit. It's not like every school year is exactly the same.
Right. Also, I think in her kooky, emotionally stunted way, she also loves those kids.
Yeah, and I think so too.
I think that becomes very apparent when she actually goes to see them play in the Battle of the Bands. And she's like, no, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she also loves music.
Yes, yeah.
See, everyone, the School of Rock movie is perfect, is what I'm saying. Just like Ever After.
Ever After. We should start a running list.
I only pick perfect movies for my channel.
Whoa, that's a dig.
It's not a dig. You could pick perfect movies for your channel, but you pick Love Actually. And this will be our last Still Comfy.
How
it's been fun.
Dare you? Yes, Love Actually is a serious problem. It is also a movie that people are obsessed with, and we needed to address that.
We did. And we did it on your channel and not my channel. My channel is for the good movies, I guess. I don't know.
Whoa. No, now I'm going to prove that I have bad taste in movies.
Hold on. I'm going to prove myself wrong. Oh, we did do George of the Jungle on my channel. And Grease.
I was gonna say.
And How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And while our hearts believe that Mermaids is perfect, our minds don't believe that Mermaids was a perfect movie. But I'm glad we covered it because I hope that a new generation finds Mermaids and just gets whisked away by Cher.
Did you hear that they're gonna redo there's murmurs of Back to the Future being rebooted?
Do you know that I've never seen the Back to the Future movies?
Natalie, that trilogy was in rotation in my family film night growing up to the point where I could act out and be Marty McFly. I could be every character in the movie.
There were just certain things that my dad would go too hard about, and then I'd be like, I hate this.
Oh, Back to the Future was one of them?
Because I'm petty. Back to the Future was one of them. This this fucking book called Lord Falsbane about a guy who has leprosy, and then he goes to like a mythical land and he doesn't have
Oh,
leprosy anymore.
yeah, you told me about that
I
book.
told you about that one because then there's a traumatic event, and then I threw
Mhm.
the book and I told him, "Why would you make me read this?"
And he
Like
was
I'm
like,
a
"What?"
right, and he's like, "What's the problem?"
Yeah, yeah.
He's never gotten to have sex before, and I'm like, "Well," so I don't think I've seen Teen Wolf. Maybe I have an unchecked thing with Michael J. Fox. maybe
Oh,
my
that's
maybe
interesting.
Michael J. Fox and I have to heal.
I mean, I'm rewatching Family Ties because as I told you via voice memo the other day, I needed to watch something from my youth and The Cosby Show can no longer be that. And Family Ties was the other one that we watched on rotation all the time and I turned it on and it's Michael P. Keaton, Alex P. Keaton,
Yep.
and
I watched Family Ties. I don't know why I never thought to watch anything else that Michael J. Fox was in.
interesting.
I love Michael J. Fox. I think he's a great human.
Listen,
I
in 2 years, Back to the Future turns 40. So we will, if we're still doing this in 2 years, I'm going to make you cover it with me.
yeah, because in 2 years we'll be doing this for money.
Yes.
Um, you know what's another film franchise that I hate that people of our generation loves?
Star Wars.
No, I love Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
That fucking Chewbacca. I love Harrison Ford. I would still sit on Harrison Ford's face, just so we're all clear. I might make him wear a fedora,
This
but
is why you need Apple Plus because he is so good in shrinking.
I didn't know that he was acting still. I thought that he was
Yeah.
napping. I don't
Well,
like
I think he came out of a nap to do this show, and
I
it's
thought that
really
him
good.
and Callista Flockhart were just like, I think one of my friends lied to me about meeting Harrison Ford.
I mean, people lie all the time.
Okay, so if that friend's watching, if you can confirm, I remember you telling me this story and then being obsessed with it for years. And then one year at Gen Con, so friend, you know who you are. I remember you going, no, I made up that story because I knew you would like it.
Oh.
So,
Okay, so
anyways,
the franchise you love that millennials are obsessed with,
no,
go.
I hate it.
Oh, that you
It,
hate. Sorry.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, Mario and I are going to cover that on my show for season 5.
I hate Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I find it so. I also hate Home Alone.
You hate Home Alone?
I think it's because like movies where people were just irresponsible and kids suffered the consequences just really could my Capricorn brain was like, why would you be doing anything wrong?
I get that. I
I
get
hate
that.
Dennis the Menace.
I don't like Dennis the Menace, but
It's
I
a
think
fucking boring movie.
yeah, well that Dennis the Menace is just a boring movie, but Home Alone I think is one of those ones that is entertaining and fun, but you really have to do suspension of disbelief, right? Like you cannot
And
go
I
into it with
couldn't.
any logic. So Capricorns beware.
My spectrum couldn't handle it. And I was like, why? They
Yeah.
just got into that airport and didn't even notice that they didn't have one of their kids.
Well, and honestly, but in 1991 though, like as a person who flew a lot pre 9/11,
9/11.
it really I mean, you it's there was like what did they do? You know what I mean? Like we
No,
flew to Ohio in 92 and it was like it was just chaos. But it was we didn't know any better. It was just fun because
yeah,
everyone could be there. Like people could like walk up to the plane with you. I don't know. Anyway. So
no,
I do buy the whole like I have a lot of kids. If it were 2023, yes, they did do a reboot for Disney Plus, which I haven't watched because I know, but it's not a plausible film for modern times because of all the restrictions that exist now within an airport.
correct. I I hate Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and it's because at Disney World, the 3D show had a snake in it,
Oh yeah.
and my entire family wanted to do it, and I had to be that fucking buzzkill that was like, I'm not doing it. I don't like this movie. I don't like snakes. The 3D stuff kind of gives me a migraine. You know, I had a hormone-induced migraines that my family just chose to ignore.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting your feedback when I finally drop that episode with Mario. It'll be interesting to hear what you have to
I'm sure
say.
it's a good movie. I love the mate. Listen, you know, again, I just choose to hate things, and then that's my whole personality. And then I yell at people who hate Taylor Swift just because she exists. So, I'm a conundrum wrapped in a daydream.
I mean, I understand. You love Star Wars. I am not. It's not a vibe I'm into.
I go to the new Star Wars. I still go to the new Jurassic Parks, even though
But
Chris Pratt is in them.
I
But sometimes Jeff Goldblum is in them.
yes, and we love Jeff Goldblum. He's a
And then I have
hottie,
to
hottie, hot,
hump a
hot.
chair in a public movie theater.
But I do think that so when we were in Disneyland, I did do the Star Wars rides and they were fun. I think my aversion, and I've talked about this quite a bit, is because my town goes hard for
Fuck
George
you, George
Lucas.
Lucas.
But they also ran him out of town. So I'm just like, you can't run. So it's very emotional. This is emotionally abusive. You told him he wasn't good enough. You called him weird. You said he was weird his entire high school career. He leaves, changes the way movies are done, and now you're up his butt. I don't get it. That's very emotionally abusive.
Now that we've talked about every movie that I hate, you know what movie I'd love to watch is Beethoven. I love that fucking big ass dog.
John Hughes wrote it.
But he saves that little girl from the pool.
I know, but he wrote it under his other pseudonym.
We could ignore it.
Yeah.
We could just stop saying his name like he's Voldemort. We could just literally gaslight ourselves into believing it's not him. But you keep bringing it up every time. I'm
sorry.
Like, I love that dog from Beethoven.
Sorry. I'm a terrible person. I'm it's my version of actually.
It truly is. It's just like an It's like how I scream at women who are just living their lives. He's gaslighting you. You're about to be on Dateline. That's my actually. This might be the shortest Still Comfy ever because I'm out of notes, I'm out of praise, and I don't have any ways to actually critique this movie.
I have one last thing. It is a critique, and it goes back to our conversation about Sarah.
I do have to apologize to Sarah Silverman at some point.
Sarah Silverman. I think her character could exist, but it didn't need to exist in a way where you hated her.
Yeah.
And maybe we already said that, but that's the main point I wanted to make about her character, because the whole time I'm like, she's not being unreasonable.
No,
she's not being she like you say, she's not really a shrew. She's being, what any normal 32-year-old is thinking.
Right.
Who works in a government company or government agency. I think that they could have brought her down a bit and not reinforce the whole women are, shrewy and shrill and buzzkills.
Honestly, she didn't need to exist at all in my book, because so there are 3 representations of the establishment. It's Joan Cusack, Summer, Miranda Cosgrove, which is so pure and it's so lovely and it's so delightful to have this little 7-year-old being the man.
Yeah.
In her little suit. Not smoking a cigarette, but probably one day.
One day.
And then Sarah Silverman, and it's we could have gotten to the climax of the movie and the resolution without anyone calling the cops.
Yeah, and it could have been as simple as, Ned Schneebly saying, "What the fuck is this money?" And the principal being like, "What are you talking about? You work here." It can fall apart that way too. Yeah.
Joan Cusack could have shown up at the Battle of the Bands after he had no permission slips. I wonder if Sarah Silverman exists because they were going to go for a love story, so they didn't want Joan Cusack to be the person who blew it all up.
That could be true too.
But honestly, in my head, an unneeded character.
Yeah.
And then for that to just go into my irrational hatred of Sarah Silverman. And I do feel bad. I've done it to her. I've done it to Amy Schumer. Where my brain just goes, they're not funny and they're not smart. And then I'm like, no, they're the smartest.
Yeah, Amy Schumer's show for a long time was just spot on, hilarious. And I was watching reruns the other day inside Amy Schumer because I think they brought her show back for like a hot minute. I didn't
They
watch
did.
any. Yeah, I didn't watch any of the new ones, but they were rerunning the original series just to kind of drum up excitement or whatever. And I tune in from time to time, like, this is still fucking funny. Like, this was like 10 years ago, and this is relevant and funny now.
I will say that Jack Black also didn't allow that little girl to have body dysmorphia. He was like, and it wasn't like one of those things where it's like you're beautiful even though you're fat. It was
Right.
literally just like rock and roll makes us all beautiful. It's our
Yeah.
equalizer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he,
I did. Tamika with Tamika.
yeah.
I
So
did like that too. Yeah.
she's like, they'll make fun of me. And he's like, why? And she's like, because I'm fat. And he's like, no one notices anyone's fat on stage.
And then brings up the goddess of all, Aretha. It
Aretha.
makes a very valid point because people did get critical about Aretha's voice, but that was so quiet in comparison to all the praise she received.
Who got critical about Aretha Franklin's voice? Who's deaf?
Shitty people. It doesn't
Shitty
matter.
fucking racist. That's who.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If we redid the movie today, Aretha Franklin's line would be given to Lizzo.
Fucking love Lizzo.
We all love Lizzo. I'm so sorry, Lizzo, that I missed your concert. It was just never in a good weekend and a good location at the same time.
She's coming to my area. And by my area, I mean she's either playing in the Bay Area or Sacramento. I can't remember which, at the end of the month. But I'm not going because I didn't know. Because somehow the internet doesn't want to tell me things. I have to go find the information myself, which is really irritating. You know, I follow these celebrities for a reason and I still can't get information.
Do you want to know how I'm so informed? I get
about
bored.
Concerts.
Yeah, I get bored while I'm watching TV. I've been watching The Great. Highly recommend The Great. No, not enough people talk about The fucking Great and how good Nicholas Hoult and Elle
Fanning
is in it. They are fucking fantastic. The comedy in that show is it is my exact level of irreverent comedy where it's like, we shouldn't be laughing at this, but I'm cackling.
I haven't watched the new season yet. Is it dropping weekly or did they drop it all at once?
They dropped it all at once.
Okay.
I just watched the second season during the weekend because it's one of those shows that you forget about because like no one talks about it.
Well, and I feel like season 2 was so long ago.
It was so long ago. But season 2, very rarely do you have a really fantastic season 1 and then also a really fantastic season 2.
Correct.
Yellow Jackets is getting a lot of hits on this season, like not being spooky enough. I was like, people don't understand book structure anymore. Your first season is always heavy.
Yeah.
Then your second season carries you into a new trauma. And then the third season will hit that peak again. People don't understand. They've never read The Hunger Games. I guess. But anyways, The Great, fucking fabulous show. But my ADHD gets a rattling, and I just literally look through Ticketmaster and type in artists that I like. That's how I found Stevie Nicks.
And that's the thing. It's like I never think to go to Ticketmaster. I always, because you and I, there's an age gap, but there's a lot of things that are similar, right? Mm-hmm. So, but like the way I bought tickets, because my siblings are Gen X, they're solidly Gen X. Mm-hmm. We would go to the Warehouse, RIP, which I don't even know if that was a national chain. And we would go through the booklet. And that's, the way that it turns out. I love to look to see what concerts are coming. But so
I don't know what to tell you about the internet and how you should be using it.
I was just going to say, I need to figure out how to get out of this analog world I live in and move into digital. It's harder than it sounds.
Jules is still shopping for American Girls via the catalog.
Oh, you know what's funny about that? I was at my best friend's house the other day and she's like, do you want to look at the new American Girls catalog?
Honestly, I love looking through the American Girl catalog. Don't even hate. It's so big and it's full of so many things I would love to buy.
There's a ton of stuff now that didn't exist when we were kids. I was like, shit.
Okay, so I love miniatures. And it's because when I was a kid, we would go to the Field Museum. And I don't know if you've never been to Chicago. We're going to go to Chicago.
I need to go to Chicago. Every time I go to Minnesota, I'm always like, hey, how easy is it to drive to Chicago? And my cousin's like, it's literally a 6-hour drive. And I'm like, that's how long it takes me to get to fucking LA. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So anyways, the Field Museum has this beautiful, it's a dad, a rich man built for his daughter this like very expansive miniature like fairy castle dollhouse with little tiny furniture and little tiny foods and little tiny rooms. Fucking
Oh.
love it. And it's the only thing besides the dinosaurs I ever gave a shit about at the Field Museum. And I'd be like, let's go to the Field Museum, and then immediately bitch for the rest of the outing to be like, when are we getting lunch?
I'm ready for food now. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. I saw my fairy tales and I'm ready for lunch.
I got what I wanted. Fuck off. Let's get out.
Right. So I love miniatures, and American Girl dolls started doing miniature rooms. Like you could buy little boxes and they'd have little furnitures
Oh, that's
and
so
little
cute.
things. Yeah. And guess what? That was the year that my mom was like, you have fucking, and I had, she's like, you have fucking outgrown the American Girl store. I was like, but they got the miniatures now. And she's like,
I just feel like we shouldn't tell little girls or boys when they've outgrown something.
yeah.
You know?
Do you know what my new manic idea is that I haven't put any money towards yet because I know once I pop, I won't stop?
Tell me.
You know how I'm really bad at plants?
Mm-hmm.
But you know how I really love fairy gardens?
Yes.
One of my childhood traumas is that when my grandmother died, no one knew that one of my core memories is playing with her. You know how old people had like Christmas villages?
Yeah.
So my grandma Peg would like cover a table with like cotton.
The sparkly kind too, right?
Yeah. And I would she would let me rearrange them however the fuck I wanted. I would just play with
I
that for
love that
hours.
for you.
So when she died, I went into, that was the first time that I was aware that I had depression, but did not know how to tell people I had depression.
Sure.
So when I came out of that state in my late 20s and my grandma died when I was 16, I was like, what happened to grandma's Christmas village? Like, I just thought that someone would have it in a box waiting for me, I guess. No, it's gone.
Oh.
And so to soothe my inner child, I was like, what if instead of planting a garden in a box and then putting the little fairy tale stuff in it, I just created Christmas villages out of fairy garden shit around my home.
I love that.
Oh, we all love it. It's going to be so expensive and manic. It's a beautiful idea. I'm a genius. Someone should hire me. But Jules, like, number one, I don't have any. My house is literally a very nice hoarder home.
I mean, Natalie, the house that I'm looking at you in right now, it has this gorgeous piano and a window.
My piano.
This lovely, like, large couch sectional situation
this
that could
white
seat
couch
25 people.
Yeah, this white couch that Penelope and I have never destroyed at once. No,
I mean, it looks like you have a lot of room on that hearth where you could put,
When I love an object and I just want to be able to see it, it doesn't matter that there's other shit there. I'm like, I'll just put it there. And now I can see it. And that's how my house is decorated.
I mean, I get it. Because, like, I had somebody tell me the other day, because I like really like the way I designed the guest bedroom closet.
Oh.
And someone's like, oh, you should get like an extension rod and a curtain so you could hide everything. And I was like, absolutely not. I really enjoy looking at this view.
I will be convinced that I don't have clothes.
Exactly. And then if I close it, then I'll forget shit's there. This is why I can't have doors. I can't have things behind doors because I forget. And then I'm like, I need to, like, that happened one time. I kept buying garbage bags for the trash can because I put them away.
Right.
And then one day it was like, oh my God, I have so many boxes of garbage. You know how much money I could have saved if I just left them out in the open where I could see?
Yeah. No, So I had to take the closet doors off of where my washer and dryer sits because they sat too far out, which
Ah,
again, no one makes compact anything anymore, so whatever. And my dad was like, "You could get a suspension rod and you could put a shower curtain that you think is pretty over it." But did he do that day? No. So have
no,
I ever done it? Also no.
no.
But then I thought about it, I was like, I'll never do laundry
Right. Because you'll
because I'll be
forget you
like,
have a washer and dryer.
I'll just be like,
Why don't I
so
have any clean clothes?
and then I'll just be looking at my clean clothes and being like, all right, Jules, I think are you still comfy with the School of Rock?
I really am.
I
I
really
was
am.
fully prepared to not be because you just don't know with the early 2000s.
You just don't know. Maybe we should watch Nacho Libre and see how culturally insensitive it is.
Yeah,
Because
I
my
mean,
sister and I had to grapple with how culturally insensitive Skippy John Jones is. And then I told her, I go, we have to stop reading Skippy John Jones in our Taco Bell Chihuahua accent.
that would be good.
It was so funny, though. It was some of my best comedy. The kids at the daycare loved it. They thought we were so funny. But yeah, we've learned, we've grown. But my friend did hand me the Skippy John Jones book at the bookstore to buy for my nephew. And I was like, I can't. And she's like, why? I go, because once I have an accent, I don't not read the thing in an accent. My voice has always done that, just like melted into an accent.
It's hard. I
It's
get
hard.
it. Mm-hmm.
That's my internalized whatever. So sorry, Sarah Silverman. Again. I am also like, I think I knew. I was like, even if I'm like George of the Jungle, I was like, even if I am uncomfortable with this movie, I'm going to spin it so I can be like, well, what Brendan Fraser and Jack Black were trying to do was that they were trying to make us think about colonization and laugh through it because that's how white people deal with trauma. So in the end, but no, it turned out I didn't even have to think that hard. I was like, nope, this movie slaps.
It's good. It's a great film. I'm glad we covered it because one, it's the 20-year anniversary, 2003, 2023. I do want to say the kid that played the drums, I forget his real name in real life. I did discover when I was reading through information about the film and the stars and stuff, he did pass away in 2021 from a bicycling accident.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah.
So RIP to him.
Yeah. So it's like, it sucks that you died at such a young age. I'm grateful that the movie you were in wasn't trash.
Wasn't trash, and it's beautiful. Also, he had a really big role as the
He had a
drummer
really big
because
role.
he was the shitty kid.
Yeah. And
And
he was perfect. He was perfect in that role because he
mhm,
was exactly what sort of a disgruntled, misunderstood early youth is like, but then discovers something that keeps his hands busy so he doesn't light shit on fire.
yeah. So just like me. So I am very sad. Like, I am very sad to hear that. Please know that we will carry on your legacy and we'll watch School of Rock whenever I want to feel a thing because it's good and the soundtrack's good and Jack Black is good. And I wish I could see Mario, but I can't because fucking Chris Pratt is in it. So I'm gonna watch Tropic
Yeah.
Thunder instead because
I
no one.
I know Mario was like, all right, because I was like, he was like, you go see the Mario movie. I was like, I hate Chris Pratt. And he's
I
like, how do
hate
you
Chris
see the
Pratt.
Guardians of the Galaxies movies? And I was like, I haven't seen the third one. And usually the soundtrack keeps me going.
I was surprised that you hadn't seen the third one because I know that you go to Marvel's like pretty much when they're released.
Like the Thursday night showing. But this time around, one, my friend was supposed to be in town the weekend it released. So that got in the way. Not got in the way, but kind of like she was coming in that day, so I didn't want to like book us tickets. And then anyway, and then two, now I'm just like, I was talking to my kid the other day though, and he's like, you really should see it in the theater. Marvel movies are designed for the theater.
But then there's like animal torture shit.
In the third one?
Yeah, because they go back into Rocky the raccoon's past.
Oh, that's sad.
So Rocket's like sad, and he's got sad animal friends.
Because
One of them's an otter. I can't sit through that.
I heard it's really good because
I'm sure it is really good.
well, Ant-Man, the Quantum Realm was trash.
Oh, I didn't see the second Ant-Man. I love you, Paul Rudd. I love you, Paul Rudd. But they do you fucking dirty with those Ant-Man movies.
And it really is obvious. And the
Yeah.
thing, but I kind of do actually want you to see Quantum Realm because my gripe out of the movie theater was like, you want me to believe that an old ass Michael Douglas can defeat buff Jonathan Majors?
Sure.
Okay, Marvel.
Listen, I'm a little bit on Marvel burnout, so I didn't see the Ant-Man.
Well,
Was that the
yeah,
What
it was
are
before the Gardens of the Galaxy. It came out in, I want to say, February.
what came out before that one? I think Wakanda was the
But
last one
Wakanda
I saw.
Forever was before
Yeah.
that, and that one was really good. But Ant-Man and the Quantum whatever, I was like, am I done? Are we breaking up, Marvel? Because Wakanda
It's too
Forever
much.
fucking killed. That movie was so good. And then I walk out of Ant-Man and I keep calling it Ant-Man and the Quantum Realm. I don't know if that's the actual name. I walk out of this movie and you all want me to believe that an old ass 80-year-old white dude can beat Jonathan Majors in a duel.
I'm just so tired of it. All of the movies are the same with some other white man at the front.
Also, I understand that Jonathan Majors is embroiled in a lot of controversy
we
right
know.
now. This was pre that controversy coming out. That was my thought process pre the controversy coming out.
Listen, if it was any other buff man that wasn't Jonathan Majors, I still don't think that Michael Douglas could hit him. Okay.
Thank you. I was like, how am I?
That's
like,
our point.
I can't even believe that Michael Douglas could beat the ants. Like, stop it.
The ants. Just the little ants. Yeah, why didn't they have Evangeline Lilly, who I also hate, do it? Okay, Marvel. Okay, Marvel.
No, Michael Douglas has to be the hero.
Okay.
And maybe I'm missing it. Maybe the internet's gonna come for me now. But my takeaway was Michael Douglas is the hero.
Yeah, you're not allowed to actually critique the Marvel movies unless it's Captain Marvel. You're only allowed to do the lady ones. Those are the ones that we can complain about.
I loved Captain Marvel.
We all loved Captain Marvel except for white men who live in their basement who are mad.
Even my son loved Captain Marvel.
I know, because your son's not a misogynist.
And I hope he never becomes one.
I know. But anyways, I might see Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because I love Dave Bautista.
I might too.
But it will be really hard for me to sit through animal experimentation.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Chris Pratt.
And Chris Pratt. Like one or the other.
Yeah.
Maybe he dies though. I hear some of them die.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
If someone could like text me on the side and be like, yeah, Chris Pratt is a bloody, gory thing, maybe I'm in.
Ask Mario because he would know. I think he's seen it already.
I don't want because I'm worried that it's Dave Bautista and I would never want to watch Dave Bautista be in pain.
Yeah, he's perfect.
He's perfect. You're perfect, Dave Bautista. And I cannot wait to be shaking your hand because I write a rom-com about you falling in love with Jason Momoa and then accepting Lenny Kravitz into your life as a third.
Listen, if they gave Jason Momoa a reality show that was about nothing but just him and his whatever it's called that he wears.
He recycles.
I'd be okay.
Does it Jason Momoa, he really loves recycling or like clean water? What does he do?
I don't know.
He has a cause.
He wears a traditional.
Oh, yeah. His thing.
And I would.
Him and The Rock.
And I understand that this is bordering on objectifying, but he does such fun things on his social media. Turn that into a reality show and I'm there.
Like the sad Zac Efron one where Zac Efron went outside for the first time. Down to earth with Zac Efron. Listen, we laugh, but I'm still so worried about Zac Efron. I'm just worried. Because once you start learning things, Zac Efron, about how terrible the world is, you never go back.
Why do you think it's so hard for me to leave the house?
Right. I went on a podcast today and someone was like, is Chris Pratt this bad? And I was like, probably not, but I still have points and I would still like to complain.
Yeah.
So, Jules, tell everyone where they can find you and what's coming up for you.
Hey, pals. This is Julia Washington of Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous, where we analyze pop culture through the lens of race or gender, and sometimes both. And this week on the pod, we are covering the book, which is not pop culture in any way, shape, or form.
Just about a rich lady.
Get Rich Lucky Bitch by Denise Duffield Thomas. And she talks about money mindset, which I felt like was a good topic to kind of bring together our season 4, where we're talking about wealthy women. My guest is Carly Adams of Tidy Revival. And that drops Wednesday.
It almost sounded like you regretted your own fucking episode. You have to start pitching better. You're like, I don't know, listen to her, don't. I get it, it's not pop culture. No, you have to do things unapologetically. Like I have an episode coming out in June about Taylor Swift. Why? Because I'm seeing Taylor Swift in June. And I'm like, she has been affected by misogyny and the patriarchy. And now I'm going to make t-shirts that say Swifties against Healy.
I support it. But here's the thing. I think the reason why, even though the book is not pop culture, it helps sort of unpack the messages that we get from pop culture about money.
About money. About
money. Money.
Money must be funny in a rich man's world.
And I'll let you talk about tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow it's still Comfy Tuesday and we're back on the River Court because we didn't like being in Don Draper's office.
Madison Avenue is not a place that was enjoyable.
We didn't like it.
We did not like it.
I'm still telling people that, hey, did you know that Mad Men's actually a bad show? It's a bad show. And then you know what else? And then people opened up about these other shows that we were gaslit into believing is good. And they're like, have you ever watched an episode of Breaking Bad? Also a bad show.
I've never got into Breaking Bad. I have a really hard time. I don't know if it's because of the original premise.
I don't know.
Because everyone was affected by meth in the early 2000s, but we were in the top 5. Like my city was in the top 5 for meth use and production and deaths for like a long time. And we were in the top 5 when that show aired. So I was like, I have a hard time.
Do you know it's a very male-centric show that I'll go light myself on fire on to prove to you all that it's good because it still treats women okay sometimes? Friday Night Lights.
I just finished Friday Night Lights. It's so good. Coach Taylor, you would think that he'd be this hot-headed man who's full of misogyny, but he is like, wife, I am sorry. Wife, you were right. Wife, here's how I'm helping you today. This is how we behave in the locker room. We do not behave like those men pointing at the misogynist. Like, oh my God, Coach Taylor.
I love Kyler Chandler, and I love to believe that he is Coach Taylor and that him and Connie Britton still have coffee.
I would love to see. I know Ruby. I know everyone's rebooted out. I understand that. But where they ended it was such a satisfying closure that I would love to see, like, I don't know, have them do a panel discussion to talk about where they think everyone would be. I don't know, something. I would love to see them all in a room together.
Yeah, if Tim Riggins wants to reach out.
If Tim Riggins wants to do more than reach out, I'm game.
Yeah. It is the guy from Heart of Dixie gets paralyzed in the first episode of Friday Night Lights, right?
Yeah. And he's later on Ginny and Georgia. He's the mayor.
Yeah, he's the mayor. He cutie. If he wants to reach out about not getting to play football in that show. But anyways, tomorrow we're back at the River Court because we didn't like Don Draper. And Mad Men's a bad show, if you didn't know. And we're doing season 4. It's the season before the time jump. It is senior year. Something moved on my chair. I was like, now is my cat gonna go insane? And then
this block of episodes is intense. You don't want to miss it because I have a lot to say.
I'm so glad that you have a lot to say because I thought the first 2 episodes, I was like, oh yeah, these are just like intermediate episodes to the next big drama.
It's the 3rd episode.
Okay.
We have a big cliffhanger and I'm like, ah!
Okay. And then this week we're talking about getting your sexy back with Kim Coffin onto All the Men I've Tolerated Before and how misogyny affects our sexuality and affects our shame surrounding sexuality. And last week we were talking about reporting on domestic violence and how misogyny and the patriarchy affects whether or not women are safe to report on their own domestic violence that they're experiencing. Spoiler alert, no, the system doesn't help that much. Who would have known?
As we've learned when we revisited the O.J. Simpson trial with book club recently.
Hey, shout out to the Cookie Book Club. Like, making me feel smart all day. If you all aren't listening, if I haven't texted you personally to be like, listen to Celebrity Book Club and then join the book club, we're doing Kris Jenner. I can't wait to talk all sorts of shit about the O.J. trial, whether or not Kris inadvertently caused that murder, and the Kardashians. So everyone, stay cozy, stay comfy, and we'll see you tomorrow night at the River Court.
Bye, friends.
Bye. The rent was way